Here we are on Happy Hour with Heather and guest. I'm Andrew, and I'm joined by Tali from Nicarus, who
Correct.
it's a pleasure to speak with you again. We talked about a year ago on my previous show, A Fistful of Faceful, when
Right.
your album uh, was about to come out. This was Coal People, Coal Puppets, which
Right.
came out in January of 2021. So it's great to have you back on the program. Different program, but still great to speak with you.
Still, same great Andrew, and I really am happy to be here and talking to you, because I remember you were the first kind of like interview podcast, or I whatever you want to call this. I call it just conversation, but you were the first conversation I had last year before I think you were the first. Then I had a bunch, and I was like, you did not record what we just talked about before, so I'm just going to tell whoever listened to that. I was just telling Andrew that yeah, for me, I was just thinking about, like, I want to talk with Andrew again. I want to talk with the people I talked to last year and more people. I think now it's even more I'm trying to say what I told you before you
Sure.
recorded, because
Yeah.
it's really important to me. And what I said to Andrew before that was recorded is that I think right now it's even more important to me personally, and I think in general it is, to even more having the conversation going, because I feel that's kind of like what few people maybe don't want to happen. And it's making sense, since Netflix and all that, a lot of stories came out, things that even only a few years ago could be like insanity, like you would not even believe, all the stories that are being out today. And they're being out today because the world is so open. So they're like pluses and minuses. Obviously, there's a lot of misinformation too, but the good thing that happened with that is that the world is so open, is that a lot of sad stories came out too. And I think that made a lot of people who are not decent and were not believing working hard for sake of my personality, of being a decent human being, who found their way out of things. Suddenly they became very worried and just, with a lot of justice in it, they became very worried with all the stories that we've seen. And I think it might make a lot of people being very afraid that the world is so open. And for me, it's even more important to keep it that way, also because where I'm from. And as I told you before, as I was driving today, I realized that I have the language, I have the English, which not a lot of people have. We must understand that. Like, I'm very lucky to reach with my art and my music and my message to a lot of people. But there's people in India, in China, in a lot of places, and in Israel that don't have it. They don't have the ability to talk with the world. And I'm lucky to have, and I'm lucky also because I worked hard, because it's important to me. I guess that's part of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And for me, I wanted to gig today. I wanted to make a celebration for my album, as talking with my audience and perform. But the karma wanted me to be sick for 1 week, and I had to cancel it. And then I thought maybe that's for a reason, and maybe I should celebrate on Friday, talking with a little bit more people than just, a few people here. Because sadly, the division is also locally. It's not just globally. There's a lot of division. I see people who are not, I think, as connected to art and music as I thought they're gonna be. It's always a shock to me, and I'm very upset. I'm smiling and all that, but I'm very upset for a lot of people in the underground music, in the heavy music, that are so silent about what they're seeing happening in the world. And I'm sorry, but I was growing up on punk And I was growing up on rock and roll, and I listen. All I had was these few CDs and albums and the music I've heard, and I heard this message of like, we're not gonna let them beat us, fuck you, I'm not gonna do what you tell me. I was growing up on that, I was growing up on that message, like we have the community, but you're individual, but you have the people around you who see what's up, and they're fighting it along, aside to you. And Andrew, I'm feeling so alone now, more than I've ever, been. And not because, there are not many people who fight, but because the people I was expecting to stand on their feet and saying, fuck you, we're not going to do what you tell us, what you tell me. I see them being like, like our generation of our grandfather and grandmother, who just like, oh, you got to do what you do. The government said you have to do it, and that's what it is. It's the same story. And I'm shocked with the amount of people I see around me locally, obviously, but also globally, of the amount of bands, heavy music, people who wear like, tough guys with black jackets and patches and all that. And they, do the whole game show, and it's okay to make mistakes, but it's not okay to completely forget the core of art and music and the message, and communicating with people. So yeah, I'm celebrating and the album, and part of that is also, I'm going to say also, before I promised I'm going to let you ask a few questions, and I will, but I'm going to say also that part of it, celebrating my album birthday, is realizing that I was rebelling when I was making that music, which is, I'm going to explain. I was rebelling. I mean, because for me, living here in Israel, it was always obvious to me that I have to use art in order to reach people, in order to say something about what's going on, because I'm living in a country that is basically an experiment. And this like whole pandemic situation was proving that, because, Israel known to be like one big experiment also with the vaccines and all that. So it's a little bit like going to a movie, and first, before anyone else, going to a movie and watch the movie, and everyone is like, asking you, how was the movie? And there's this kind of like, responsibility of how you're going to say, because if you're going to be too excited about how great the movie, they might not going to go. And if they're going to say, it was stupid, they might go. You have that feeling when you're leading something, and they all waiting for your question, like, how was the movie? So that kind of responsibility is something that I grew with, because sadly, I'm saying it's not in a good way at all, because that's not a movie. But sadly, almost everything that happened here in Israel did happen after that in the world. If you think about that, before 9/11, United States never thought, what's happening. And I'm not, again, it's very harsh what I'm saying, and I'm not saying it in a positive way, but I'm saying that there's something living in a small country that is so complex, in a politic way, in almost any, in religious way, like almost every way you're going to look at that. It's a small country that almost everything happening here in extreme. So it's very easy to look at that as like experiment for whatever. And almost everything that happened here, I say that sadly, I saw it later on happening in the world. By coincidence or not, it's a different subject. So my point is, like, I grew up already with that responsibility, as music, to show that that I don't have the privilege to just talk about love. I don't have the privilege to just sing about stupid songs. I have to be smart. You have to be smart when you're coming from the ghetto. It's true. It's true, though. It's true. You have to be like on top of the game. You have to think all the time, few steps ahead of you. So my first album was very much like that. And then I think I kind of rebelled with the second one. And I only now realized it in 1 year birthday. I realized that basically I just wanted to have my life. I wanted to feel like anyone else. I have so many things that I haven't done that other people have done, like having normal life and all that, which I haven't had. So, so now with everything that is happening, it's like bringing me back to like, yeah, well, I don't have that privilege. I don't have that privilege to just be like, talking about acoustic stuff, singing about love. I'm not there yet. I can't be. I'm so raged. I'm so pissed off. I'm so now more than ever, I'm so disappointed with how I see people dealing when there's something is going on. I mean, instead of asking questions and stay open mind, they just go with one narrative and that's it, and they leave a bunch of people behind them. So I have a big issue with that, and I'm talking also to all the people in the heavy music. It's wherever, United States, Europe, leave that behind. It's a new year. Wake up. And you have responsibility. You have audience. You have some bands have a lot of audience. Some have, and say the message that everyone is individual. Stop with that bullshit of responsibility to something that we can't even see or smell or touch. The only responsibility is for our freedom and to our minds and to our message and to we have everything. We have everything. We have phones, we have fax, we have dishwasher. And I fucking hate those people who come and tell me there was the Spanish flu. The Spanish flu was in 19 something, and they've been living in the streets in mud. They were eating, rice out of the floor. I'm not even sure they had forks, and they've been eating, dinner with rats together. So that was like in the past. Like, we have soaps, we have stuff today. So if something is not working with the narrative is the problem, and not anything else. So I'm just wishing, people to help me with my message and help a little bit Nicarus to get out. And that's part of it, and now I'm gonna let you ask the questions, because I'm gonna open my beer. I'm gonna open my beer though.
Well, yes, open your beer. I'm happy, by the way. I'm sure all the questions that I have are probably ones you answered last year, doing various press. I would much rather hear what you would like to talk about now. So feel free at whatever you'd like to discuss.
Cheers.
Definitely. I will say about the album, I spoke about it last year briefly, but for those of you out there who haven't heard Coal People, Coal Puppets, it is available. You should definitely pick it up. As a kid growing up in New York City in the 1990s, it's very much reminiscent of the grunge music and that era that I grew up with. So I really dug the album.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
I definitely felt like it could have found its way on the radio along with a lot of the other bands. It could have been like, and next up after Smashing Pumpkins, we have Nicarus, and I wouldn't have batted an eye. It would have been right sort of in the pocket. So if you're into any of that music, if you're just into good music, really, pick up Coal People, Coal Puppets. You can get it on Bandcamp. And the other thing I wanted to bring up that I was very impressed by, that I don't think I knew so much last year. I know you wrote and mixed and mastered and produced, and I think played almost all the instruments except drums on the album.
Surprise. Yeah, that's the X factor in that, which I leave people to explore. I remember when I was young, and I loved Red Hot Chili Pepper so much. I mean, I loved a lot of stuff, actually, not just them. And I remember all the year that I was looking at Anthony Kiedis, and I thought, like, he's the hot guy, he's the poster guy. And as a young girl, that it works, sex works, blood, sugar, sex, magic. And he was like the guy who's jumping on stage, and I was like, oh, Anthony. And then I figured out, it took me some time, a few years. I realized that there's John Frusciante, the guitar player. He always was a quiet guy, playing his guitar, being all doped and all that stuff, which is also part of my rebellion. Never touch drugs, because, as a musician, you make that decision at some point, like, you know what, no matter what's gonna happen to me in life, I'm gonna make it better than them. It's like, it's a little bit like your father and your mother. You say like, I'm gonna be better than you, which it just means how important this music was in my life, because that's all I had. So when I saw all these really sweet and talented people being on drugs and all that, I just felt sad, and I said like, yeah, so take off your shows, but be healthy. Fuck the money and fuck the audience. Be healthy. So I was so pissed at that. So I decided like, I'm never going to use drugs. It's not easy sometimes. I'm thinking about it honestly, but I'm trying to keep, head above water, even in really terrible times. And I'm not a regular person. I can get really depressed. And anyway, so when I saw John Frusciante, so I thought, this is the quiet guy, and I just read about him, which I've never done as a kid, but something lured me into just look at that. And I realized he was also a guitar player. And I realized he was also like, making vocals, like really good vocals. Like he's still alive, he's a great singer. And I never even knew that. I never gave him the credit for it. He is actually a very good singer. And then I realized that he's having solo albums where he mixed everything, So automatically I felt so ashamed and embarrassed that all the years I was looking at Anthony Kiedis, when this guy is so talented. He wrote all the melodies and all that. And when that point, I remember that point as a turning point, saying to myself, shame on you, Tali, for not digging deep inside on something that you care of, that's something that you love. So I'm living that, even though I'm not ashamed of it, and I'm saying it in every opportunity that I can, that I'm doing everything by myself, because I don't believe like, it's also something you learn after the age of 30, you need to be humble. Yes, of course, because you're not the only person, and a lot of people doing amazing stuff for sure. And you need to be humble also because you don't need to, but I feel like it's just part of who I am, because this is how I learn. You can only learn when you listen. You listen when you're being humble. But so there's that, but there's also that when like, I'm not gonna hide, what I do, and I'm pretty proud of what I do, and I'm saying it, But even though I'm saying it, it's many people don't not always get that, and that's part of what Nicarus is. It's complex, just like the country I'm living in it. It's very complex, and my life brought me to that, and I'm always saying it, like, and it's true. I mean, you need to live here to understand, but when you have no other choice, you can choose what to do. You can say, I'm giving up, and I'm just not, I'm going to go and be a lawyer or whatever, or you can say, wait a second, what do you mean I can't? Nah, I'm going to take a break for 1 or 2 years. I'm going to learn how to do that, and then I'm going to do it. That's simple. And for me, there was never questions about that. Like, I knew that it's a journey. I knew that money is not a factor. And when I'm saying it is because people forget once upon a time, they were 20 years old. When you're 18 years old and you just got out of the house, anyway, I would go out of the house when I was like 18 years old. And you need to work. Then you find anything to work. And then you realize you have music. And job is just job. And you always have that art and music and exploring yourself, and you realize it doesn't have to be together. It doesn't have to be together. Now, as long as it is, it's great. But I'm always have that 20 years old in my brain. That remember that it doesn't have to be together. If it's going to be together, that's amazing. And I'm teaching today music, and I'm feeling very blessed. And if I'm going to be living just making Nicarus music, it's unbelievable. But that's not the point. Like that, like the money is never the factor. It's just a mean to do something that you care of, and And the moment I realized that money is just money, it comes and goes, it just doesn't matter. Then you start this journey of like, what is me? Like, what is me and what is my journey? And I realized back then that I'm not going to stop, and I still haven't, until I'm going to be having the freedom to do almost everything I want to, and with no one telling me what to do, because I'm so stubborn. And I mean, I was a very stubborn kid also. I drove people insane. I still do. And there's a bit of fun being in that freedom, because like you can threaten me, you know. So you're gonna go away. I'll do fine, you know. I keep doing what I do. All right, you don't like me, bye. I can still do what I do, and I love that. Freedom is like the most important thing to me, I guess, because of where I'm coming from. And I was a kid. I've seen wars here, actually wars. I've been walking around with masks before anyone else have in the United States. So I know what masks are. And I remember as a kid, like, that's shit. So for me, it was always about freedom. And all the stupid guys here, like, oh, you're cool, let's have a band. I know it's not going to survive. I know that at some point, you know, someone is going to be, you know, out of it, going to go study, they're going to go travel. And I've been experiencing that. You know, I've been experiencing that in my 20s. I had a few punk bands and all that. And that's why I was very smart to learn sound engineering, which I'm very happy I did. And all my students today, even girls, I'm telling them, like, you know, forget about how it looks like, that it's like for men, you know, sound engineering. If you're an artist and you want to express yourself, this is so important. This is like a huge part of the art, for my opinion. And I'm trying to convert people to go and study that. I actually have a student that I'm teaching production and sound engineering because I think it's a very important knowledge to have as a musician, even if it means you have to stop for a second, like for a few years, and invest in that. And I'm very happy I've done that, even though there's no money in it. And like you really hard to make a living out of it. I'm obviously making a living out of teaching, and I did have like few clients, and I'm having, you know, but I'm really spoiled. Like I like to take things that I like to take. I realized that this is too much. It's a big world, and as an artist, it's very hard to be sound like a producer of someone else, because there's money involved, and then you need to kind of act to them the way that I don't like to be treated. So for me, it's very difficult. So that's why I'm choosing what I like to do. I'm choosing my clients. I'm choosing the only thing that I like to do. So money, it's not the factor here. It wasn't. It was really about the freedom to express myself. So yeah, I might be working in a grocery shop tomorrow. I might be, you know, working in the laundry or whatever. How do you call it? I might do whatever. And I have that in mind. I hope not to, and I don't believe I will, because I have a lot of experience in different things, and I love what I do, and I'm very workaholic. Like I'm very much. I can work 24/7. But I, in my brain, I have that thing that say, all right, so, you know, I can work in whatever. I still have music, and that's the beautiful thing about it. Like, you know, it's just like you always have that. So yeah, so I'm really proud of doing the guitars, and the guitar, by the way, was the hardest part for me, because I'm singing since I'm very, very young. But guitars, that was the tricky part, because I've always seen these guys, you know, playing guitar so fast. And I thought to myself, like, I'm never going to be able to do that. You have to start like playing guitar like really young in order to be that good. But then I found sound, and I always loved guitars. I fell in love in that instrument. I really do. So I was kind of I still am compensate of being very slow on the guitar with the sounds, that, you know, that I'm investing a little bit more in that. So I'm in peace with that, though I must say each album I'm writing, I do try to challenge myself a little bit more. Not too much because it's tough to sing and play. Sorry. But um but yeah, if I'm looking back where I was like only a few years ago, I'm definitely getting better also on the guitar part of that. But it's my journey. I'm sure a few years from now, I'm going to be even better if I'm not going to give up. But that's the toughest part, not mixing, not producing, because producing is basically just loving music. That's what it is. Producing is just loving music and speaking the language of music, which I never had a problem because I'm always listening to music, always, always. There's nowhere, no time of silence around me. There's always from different types. I can go from ambient IDM, to punk to rock. Like there's always different vibes in music. So producing is the easy part. It's just like ideas, and I'm good at that. But mastering, mixing, all that, that's the easy part. That you invest 2 years to learn, and I advise to do that. Like to go to actually a place. I was learning that at academy. I mean, but the guitar, that is actually and I love guitar so much, but I'm not playing fast, and that's fine though. I'm getting better.
Well, I was going to say, I think what my goal from this conversation is that at some point a younger person will be watching this or listening to this and be inspired by what you're saying to want to get into production or pick up an instrument. That was the reason why I brought up the fact that you played the instruments and did the mixing and mastering, because I feel like with the technology where it is today, it's really easy for everyone to get involved, and they just need the drive to do it. So hearing that you have the drive and the willingness to sort of learn, I'm hoping that will inspire a new generation of musicians.
Yeah,
not for,
yeah.
no, I'm sorry.
For me, what started that is just like, I mean, everyone want to be a rock star. I'm always telling that my students, like everyone want to be a rock star. No one want to work hard for it. For me, I never wanted to be. I just wanted to be normal, and that never happened for me, I guess. But I do love to work hard because I feel proud, and that's what I'm trying to tell my students. Like, forget about how it looks. Like, work hard if something is important to you. So it's not something that it's not for everyone. Look, it looks easy. It's not. There's a lot of days that you want to give up and you don't understand. It's not for me. I mean, I'm an actress. I'm a singer. What is it to me? Engineering. I'm not even the typecast. So there are many days of like, I don't think I can do that. I'm feeling like a fraud. I honestly, there are many times I felt like a fraud, and I still do. And but the point is, you have to have it in you to really want something, and if not, then you're never gonna be a rock star. But no, it's true. You have to have it in you. And I mean, and I tell you what was the point for me, also what I told you about Red Hot when I was younger, but later on it came again, like the decision to actually go and learn it in school was, and I'm not coming from a rich family. It's not like I can like, okay, I'm gonna go and learn this, and after 1 year, okay, I'm gonna go and pay for this. I knew that if I'm going to invest money on study, it have to be something that I gonna think about very pretty much, and so my that point for me was when I discovered post rock. And the thing about post rock for me is that you listen to Mogwai, you listen to God is an Astronaut, you listen to Isis, you listen to Neurosis, which is like post rock and post metal. You listen to, I can name now like Red Sparrows and Ocean Size and all the stuff that I was finding when I was in my 20s. There's a big list. And what these bands have done, it's like a classic music, but with guitars. Some of the songs are not even having lyrics, not even having vocals, but it's a conversation of like sometimes even 9, 10 and more minutes. between guitars and layers and different rhythm. And when you listen to that, for me, that was like, that's an art. That's what I'm talking about. That's art. That's art of frequencies. That's art of music. It's not just about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, which I always felt to be very shallow. And I never wanted to be there. I always felt like, it's a discovering path. I want to discover more. I felt there's always something more into music. Like I want to discover more. It's my personal journey. And in post rock, I found it. I felt like, okay, it's like watching the most beautiful landscape in the world, like standing on the top of an iceberg and see all that beauty, because it was music. It's like pure music of guitars, which I always loved and adored, even though I still don't think myself as one, but I always have. So and you hear all that, and you hear all these patterns, and you can hear a story, and that's something that really talked to me personally. But my point is that in genre like post rock and post metal, which is like completely different from what we've known as a song, song of like, verse, chorus, and all that bullshit. It's not a bullshit, but you get tired of that. So when you listen to like a song by Mogwai, for example, you understand that there are not a lot of things going on there. And you're asking yourself, how is it possible that I'm listening to something that is so minimalistic? Sorry. That is so minimalistic, yet it's brilliant. I mean, there's nothing in there. There's a lot in there. It's like listening to the silence. There's so much revealing to you. And then I asked myself, no one can compose that. It's not like there's no composer who sit down and compose it. You have to be a sound engineer. You have to understand sound in order to build a song like that. It's not like in the old days of music, you have a composer, and you have the one who's writing the parts for the different instruments, and you have the one who executed, and you have all these different people. Here, it's like it's an art of sound, basically, and you have to. And I always ask myself, and that's when I started to look at the albums. Like I took a CD and I was looking at the back. Who's the band member, but I also looked who mixed it and who mastered it, because I thought there's no way that someone else was making. How can you write a song that 90% of the job in it is sound wise? It's all on that. So yeah, most of the cases I realized that I was right. The band members themselves are producing and mixing it, because like there's no other choice. The other cases, they did use other mixing engineers and mastering engineers and so on, but they definitely know what they do. Like they definitely know all about sound and it's studios and different gear. Like they're very much involved. They're not just like a singer who come and sing. And I was just a singer. To that point, I was just a singer. But I felt like if I want to have control over what I want to express, I have to have more tools. And when I found post rock and post metal, and I fell in love. Music it was even I was a singer, but I always felt ashamed that I'm only a singer because I love music so much. So I said, okay, that's the time where I'm like, okay, if you love music, you have to do something about it, and you have to know what you're doing. And that was the point for me when I found post rock and post metal. I said, I'm always going to be a singer because I'm doing it since like 6 years old. I'm always going to be a singer. Just drop that already. Like, have yourself some more tools. So that was a brave, because I have OCD. And an OCD person, I like to do one thing and I like to do it well. Just I want to do the best singing ever. Like I want to be reaching the highest notes. So that kind of brain, I had to like, okay, stop with that kind of way of thinking. Take a break and have some more tools. And I'm really happy I did, because I'm still singing, but now I can do other things as well. So that was my my turning point. And as I was learning, by the way, sound engineering and producing, I felt like that's what I was always supposed to do. Because I remember myself as a kid sitting down with headphones that my father had, sound system of Sony. When we were kids, that was a thing. Not many people had a sound system at their homes. And I was putting a vinyl in as a small kid. I was sitting with my headphones, and I still remember the sound that came from the system. Like, I remember, it's amazing how our brain works. I can remember the button on the Sony sound system, how the knob, how great it was to switch it. As a kid, I was playing with it, and I remember the fun I had to listen to the singer and to the music on that sound system because it was so good. And then I realized, as I was learning sound engineer, I realized how I love to use my ears. It's focusing me as I'm listening, because when you're singing and you're performing, you're not always like, you're showing off. So when you mixing and engineering, you turn off that and you just use your ears. And I realized I'm really good at that. And not just that I'm good at that, it's really focusing me. So it's balancing, it's balancing my stage act to just listen. And it's a great tool. I love doing it. So I have few hats when I'm sitting now and down and producing and mixing. I'm like wearing that hat of just like being disconnected from everything and just listen. And when I'm performing and I'm on stage, I'm putting that aside and I'm just like, now doing that. It's kind of like two completely different zones that I have, that I'm lucky to have.
Yeah, well, it's really, you did a really wonderful job with Coal People, Coal Puppets. And I know you've written, or you've at least released a couple of singles since then. So are you working on a new album, or do you have ideas for things moving forward?
Yeah. I am. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I told you I was a bit sick. So, yeah, I do. It's amazing how panic I can get when I'm in the void. I was absolutely sure that I don't even know if I'm going to write another album. This is why I came out with the singles, because I just didn't know if I'm going to write another album, to be honest. Like, I just didn't know. I didn't know. I wanted to, but I didn't know if it's going to happen because it's a lot of work.
Sure.
So I had that time this year, and there's all these events outside also. It was affecting me very much. It still do, especially when it's kind of a waking call that who I am is for a reason, and no, I cannot escape of that. And probably I'm probably not gonna have a normal life. It's like an understanding that you have at some point. You're saying, okay, I can give up the dream of like having a house with a garden, a dog, and husband. It's not for me. and that album was kind of rebelling that, but everything happened this year is still reminding me that I have a job, and I'm feeling like I'm getting a little bit more active. Like tomorrow I'm going to protest, and I felt like I can't do that because I didn't want to be, I didn't want to make noise. I didn't want to be going into activism. I didn't want to be Roger Waters. I mean, like, the guy is like is so I always looked at him and other activists like, okay, that's a bit too much. It's important to deliver a message, but activism might create the other the other result, because when you push something, you're not always getting what you want. When you just talk about things and deliver information and making an opinion, maybe that's enough. But now, with everything that happened, I feel like we have been a bit too quiet and walked with that too much. And I'm finding myself a little bit getting more active into activism. Not much. I haven't got out of the closet completely, but I'm getting there. And by doing that, I'm feeling like I'm getting my powers back. I'm not as sad about not having normal life because I am not a normal person. And it's kind of reminding me that. It's kind of reminding me that I guess my job haven't done yet. And it does relate to music. So because in this year with all that happened, I was like, I can't get in trouble. And I can't go and protest because, I need to have a job. I don't have anyone to support me. I can't find myself now in prison and go into, being arrested in protest. And I can't afford it. Some people can afford it. I can't afford it. I really do have to get money and food on the table. Like, I don't have anyone else to help me. So I still think that way. And that's why I'm being very, very careful not to go all the way with it. but but this year I got so depressed of not speaking out and not doing what I should, and as everything was happening around, and again because it's a very small country, it's a very extreme situation here. Like, people are being arrested in the streets for not wearing masks. There's actually a green fucking passport. They took my name, they took green and turned it into something so black and so dark. Like, people need to show passports to go into fucking gym. I mean, to go into the gym, to go into restaurants. Like, people lost their fucking minds. And I'm totally against anything. There's nothing in the world, not even alien inventions like coming down with a spaceship, that will justify group of people not having, rights. And people can blame me to be hypocrites because we have Gaza situation and and all that going on. But I was always speaking my mind on that too. Like, I was always speaking my mind that whatever is happening here is totally fucking wrong. And I don't care how hard it is for the government to solve it, which is hard. It's definitely hard because there's religion going on here. It's not the UK. It's not Sweden, who everyone lives together. There's Jerusalem. There's all these hot spots. So it's tough. It's tough to solve it. It does. I'm telling that to the world. I said it to Roger Waters himself. And I hope to talk to him also on podcasts like that. I'm working on it. I'm not going to give up until I will. But so people need to understand that it's not just a country that everyone can live together happily ever after, because sadly, there's this stupid wall and in Jerusalem and everyone fighting over it like idiots. And I think religion is what's making what made all the years peace to be so hard to get. And then we had a prime minister who almost got there and got murdered by extreme Israelis. So there's always like terrorist group who try to ruin everything for everyone, and then there were like insiders who trying to ruin everything. So, and governments completely gave up. Yitzhak Rabin, our prime minister, in the 90s with all the Oslo conversation, he was all very close, the only prime minister who ever went so close to make something about the issue, and he got murdered. And since then, our government completely abandoned us. People need to understand, also Roger Waters, every time he's talking against, boycott Israel. Yeah, I get it. It's tough. But our government gave up on the Israelis too. Not just on that, they gave up, period, on everyone. They don't care. They are corrupted. This country is running like any kind of Africa regime. Just people should understand that. So, because I was saying, and I still do. I say, like, boycott people. It's not a smart idea. They're getting offended. Obviously, they've been, going through Holocaust and they feel like everyone is hating them. So that's not a smart move. I mean, what the people are fault, they just want to see a show. A lot of people here don't like that. They don't like what's happening, but and we do shout it. So my point is, we have shouted it for years. I've been always radical left. When we had left, we don't have left anymore. We don't have this. But when we did have left back then, I was always, talking about how, minorities and should not, for human rights, for solving the problem, for never fighting against it, like not being on the side of like, let's have a war, everyone, and all that stupidity. So, yeah. So, so I'm not hypocrite. Like I still do shout against that too, but I just want people to understand that our government is super corrupted and numb and don't give a shit about her citizens too. So they don't care about us at all, like really at all, like not about any kind of minorities. And so with this situation, I don't know how I got into talking about that and what did you ask and how it's related to anything, but I'm just gonna say that um, it's part of taking responsibility, you know, over your life and say and understand that no one is gonna come and help you, no one is gonna come and save you. Like it's really up to you how to live this life. There's no one, like it's like no one. It's like chaos. There's no government. They're not in any function. So you just have to do what you can do, you know, and do the best out of it and talk it, you know, talk it out. And I can't remember what you've asked and how I got to that situation talking about that. So
I think, well, I think we started talking about influencing people to get into sound engineering, and then it sort of went on a tangent from there. But I go off on tangents pretty frequently, so it's all good.
Yeah, I did say it for a reason. I just can't remember what was the reason. But no, I had something important to say about that. But I can't remember what that was. But yeah, but the point is that, you know, we have to stay like open mind, and we have to keep the conversation going, and we have to keep art. Like if you know, I just don't think it's smart, if we already started this topic, I don't think it's smart to boycott anyone. If a band is wanted to be in Jordan and Lebanon and Iraq, go there, perform there. The people need you. Music is supposed to be connecting between everyone. That's the point. That it's not religion. Religion, all it's been done in the history of humanity is just destroy and divide between people. That's all it's been done all the years. People are not even spiritual when they, you know, taking religion on themselves. Completely the opposite. So music, up to now, and that's why I'm so pissed and I'm so disappointed and I'm so depressed. Because up to now, music was that thing that politics didn't touch, that religion didn't touch, and it was for everyone, And somehow politics bought it, like Rage Against the Machine came and boycott stuff. Like, what are you doing? Music is for everyone, for all people, period. And wherever, if you're a band, I believe, I feel like that too. If I will be wanted in the United States, I'm there. If I'll be wanted in UK, I'm there. If I'll be wanted in Jordan or Lebanon, I don't care about politics, and I don't care about. That's the only thing that left is music to actually make sense in the world. By the way, that was the first thing, if you notice, that they closed. That's everything that is good for us. Everything that is good for us, art, music, everything that makes you feel human, that make you open your mind, that make you think as us and not us and them, you know, everything that makes you human, that was the first thing they closed. And I am shocked that people bought it. I mean, get up, you know, clean yourself, get your brain and say, okay, you know, virus or not, death or not, I'm gonna get to my people, and I'm gonna bring myself there. And one of my goals, you know, is to be able to find the people who, it's not easy. You know, I'm playing it all tough and cool and do it all by yourself. And I do believe in that. I didn't have a choice. I still don't have a choice. But I honestly would love to have help, especially when it comes to logistic, especially when it comes to, you know, find the people, maybe a small agency, a small booking manager, tour manager company. Sorry, small you know, I don't know, I'm not looking for the biggest. I just need people who care to keep to keep that mission of heavy music or any music, getting out there, and we have to keep doing it. And I just want to, I'm not into having the biggest show in the world, doing the most, spending all the money on dolls on stage, and that, I think it's dinosaurs that belong to a different era. AC/DC and all that, had dolls installed on stage. It's fun, but that's not important to me. And I honestly thought to use that stage to talk to the people who just thought, maybe opening management, artist management, maybe I want to talk with you. Like, I want to try and do something together on our terms, not governments, no masks, no injections, no bullshit, just on our terms, on the way that it's supposed to be. Brave people who would like to do things together. That's kind of like where I am at now. Like, I want to try and do things together. I'm not aiming toward anything. I'm not trying to prove how serious I am as an artist. If people don't know that, they didn't do their homework. That's why you asked me about mixing my stuff and mastering, that people don't know. What you don't know, then you didn't do your homework. It's not from me to sell it to you. So I'm done explaining myself, and I'm done to prove myself as an artist, how much I need it or deserve it and all that. I'm not in that game at all. I do what I do, period. I just want to find the right people for the job. And I have plans, don't get me wrong. I did have a few conversations with actually a good drummer, and we don't see eye to eye on what's happening right now. And he's one of these musicians that I'm saying I'm disappointed, but I'm not judging. It's a tough situation for everyone. That's why I'm not like, okay, if you don't see the way I do, then I'm not going to work with you. That's not the way I do that. You can do whatever you want. You can, put in your body whatever you want. I don't mind. Just don't tell me what to do. That's kind of like my point. Don't tell me what to do, and don't block me because of that. Like, don't stop me from doing what I do. I didn't tell you what to do, so why are you telling me? Actually, I was the one who shouted, "Don't do that," and you called me psycho. So maybe I'm a psycho, but because I'm a psycho, don't let me, stop do what I need to do. So my message is to anyone who listens to that, who kind of feel what I'm talking about, who know what's happening, who've seen that coming or haven't seen that coming, or just understand that he want to do the right thing when it comes to the quality of the people you work with, and not just the biggest event in the world. I mean, if that, it's okay, I'm not going to judge you, but that's not what I care for. I care for the quality of the people and the quality of the way you do things. So if that talks to anyone who listens to that, let me know, and we can do things together. Again, I'm not looking for fancy schmancy whatever, companies. I just look for the good people. So that was very important for me to mention here, and to see how we can meet together, how we can, you can, I don't know, let's keep it open.
So if you're a booking agency or any company that likes the message that Tali had just been saying, or you want to work with a quality person, quality music, then she has a social media presence. You can reach out. She's on Instagram, Facebook,
yes,
Twitter.
I am.
Everything.
I'm very available. Yeah, I'm very available to anyone who wants. So don't be shy and don't be afraid to talk to me. There's a lot of things, because I'm probably because I'm a woman and from Israel. It's making a lot of people concerned, maybe, feeling good or not. Just reach me, let's talk business. Like, let's talk about, and again, even if you're just one person who really always wanted to be helping, supporting music, one person like you, Andrew, who just really want to support music, really want to do something. If you're just a local guy in Romania, and you know a promoter, and you know someone who really just want to make, you know, a cool evening for like cool people, you know, that's what I'm talking about. So you don't have to be like a company. It can be, I will go whenever and wherever. I just hope to wake up people, and I think I can. I mean, that's what I do, and because I'm coming from where I'm coming, then I'm seeing where it can go when you're not protecting democracy, when you're closing borders, when you think about just being the best, when you're being too competitive, when you're being, you know, all that stuff. You totally forget the reason. And I never forgot the reason. I can't. And that's important. I was growing up on good people, you know, Henry Rollins and all the punk guys. And every time I feel depressed and every time I'm feeling like I'm losing it, I listen to these guys, and they kind of remind me my DNA. And that's the kind of people I want around me. And it's so hard to find nowadays. That's my point. It's hard to find nowadays. My generation, so fucked. And I'm so pissed at all the people. My generation, I'm 36 years old, so I'm not 20 years old. But my generation just completely lost it. And all the heroes, you know, that we've been growing up, they completely abandoned them. So I'm angry. And
Well,
so if you're as angry as me, talk to me and let's see what we can do. Because I just want to try and connect to the right people. I had enough with all these normies. They kind of like, they destroyed my life. I had enough with all these normies, all this mask, all this bullshit. I just don't want to be into that debate even at all. I just want to make music. And yeah, so you asked me about let me focus again about what you said. So I do have plans on on having on my next album. That's where we started. A few friends. I have few exciting actually goals. Don't get me wrong. I have few dreams that I was dreaming of doing coming. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but I do have few goals when it comes to the drums. And this year, what I've done is releasing singles. I had few of them, and I did that because I honestly didn't know if I'm going to make another album or not, as I've been saying. And then I went to a different subject, as always. And then, as I was doing that, as I was writing these singles, that, by the way, I'm not a big fan of them. If you like it, that's cool, but it's not what I'm here for, you know. And it was nice. It was passing time instead of like going outside and killing people, which I could easily, you know, do during this time. So instead of being, you know, a mass murderer or something, I just went and wrote this stupid song. But as I was doing that, I just like had a vision. It's always like that, you know. Excuse me again. And I had that vision, and it's always like that. You feel like I would never make another album again, and then suddenly it comes and you see it, and okay, I know what I'm gonna do. So stupid. And now I'm actually finding myself sitting down and getting into that. I have okay, I'm gonna tell you, it's not 100%. So I didn't tell it to anyone, but I had that idea of making that split album, which is going to be my next album, which is kind of like a spiritual path that I feel like I was being part of. And it's going to be, let's put it this way, it's going to be very two different albums that one is kind of like present the dark side that need to be digged into in order to reach the light side, the more bright side, which is, I feel, representing the time that we're at. They call Joseph Campbell was somehow is always finding his way to me when I'm making music. He was also part of Call People, Call Puppets, one of his stories there on the song Call People, Call Puppets. And I thought, that's the end of Joseph Campbell. And no, he came somehow into my life again with the, I'm not going to reveal exactly what. I'm going to leave that as a surprise. But there's something that when I was kind of like hearing that, I was hearing that message everywhere. I call, we call it a synchronicity. When you hear something a few times from different people at the same time, this is kind of like a sign to me that it's important. This is when I'm like, okay, I need to pay attention. If I see frog everywhere, a picture of a frog, and then I need to stop and go into internet and look what a frog is. And I'm like, okay, what is it telling me? So it was the same with Joseph Campbell again, which again I thought was behind me on Call People, Call Puppets. But there was a part of synchronicity when I heard a few things all over again from different places and people. So I stopped for a second. And then when I stopped, there was right in front of me a video that I knew that was relate. Again, it's kind of the feeling of synchronicity. And I was watching that video, and in that video was the answer for my opinion, everything that we are experiencing, and kind of again the journey, the spiritual journey from one place to the other place. That's kind of like a revelation. We have it in the myth. In mythology, they always talked about going to the underworld and then going back again. And I feel like we're really there, like humanity and myself. Again, as I told you, what I realized about Call People, Call Puppets. And now I'm coming back again to where I started. So it's like a spiral, that you go through in life over and over again. And each time you are doing it a little bit different and a little bit more connected or not, and it depends where you're at. And so that, it's always like that I feel like whatever happens to me happens to a lot of people and to humanity. And that's something we can see so clearly now, I think more than ever, the kind of like spiritual revelation that many people should go through for getting out better on the other side, and that's part of my music creating. It's not always easy to put that in words. It's like having a dream, and you wake up in the morning and you try to explain your dream. Most of the time, it's not even what really happened in the dream, because it's so hard to put that in words. So I'm trying to put all that in words, so it's hard. But I can say that once I had that thing going on, it was kind of it kind of opened the door to everything that came later, which is basically me working on another album, working on two of them, and working on two of them, like balancing between what we see, and it's fun working on it. And when I do, I never know what's gonna happen. I never know. I don't know, but I do have the vision, and I do know what I'm working on. So I have a few plans, and a lot of things opened up. So yeah, that's basically the good news. Because all this year, I didn't even know if I'm gonna make another one. So now so now I'm working on it. And
Good. Good.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, I unfortunately I have to get going.
Right.
But I wanted to say for those of you out there, pick up Cold People, Cold Puppets. It's a great album. And I'm glad I have another album to look forward to that you're going to be working on. And for
Thank you
those of
very
you
much.
interested in working with Tali and Nicarus in any way, if you are on the same page with her, definitely contact her on social media. And
If you're
Roger
not on the same
Waters,
page with me, you're wrong.
Roger Waters, if you're out there and you want to get
He's
in touch,
out there. He's out there, and he even did heart on my comment there. And I wrote him. It's really hard to get him personally, but I wrote him on his page that I need to talk to him urgently. And yeah, he will hear from me. I have to talk to the guy because he's like, um, he lost it.
well,
No, I agree with him. You know what? That's another thing that I want to say. I'm just gonna say that's part of what we're going through in the world today. It's so easy to like some people who are so sweet to you and so nice to you. It's so easy to like them, and I have a lot of people around me like that. It's so easy to love them, but they are, sorry for my French, but the motherfuckers. They are the worst people who gonna talk so much shit behind your back. So I'm not impressed by that. And Roger Waters, as much as I don't agree with his policy of boycotting people, any people, and not because I'm living here, but because I'm living here, I see how people being so taking it emotionally and personally, and they don't understand because they are so afraid of Holocaust. They're so afraid of people hating them. So he don't get it. That's why, not because I don't agree or anything else with the way. So my point is, he might saying harsh stuff, and all that, but at the end of the day, he's the guy who's out there on the streets, protest. And he have million reasons not to do and not to care. He's protest against the things in Chile and the Amazonas and all the human rights. So you have to look at the person in a bigger picture. He's not just saying fuck you, Israel. He's saying fuck you to any kind of government and country that is like treating one group in a wrong way. And I prefer to have on my side, like I prefer to be on the side of people that might talk shit a little bit to me, but they are good, like they really do fight a good war, even though it's hard to like them. And I never did like, when you look at Roger Waters, he's so like warlike. I always liked Gilmore, and I still really love Gilmore. I don't know why everyone compares things. They're two different people, but that's what I'm saying. They're different people. So I still have that side of me that's saying like, don't make too much noise, don't make waves, just be awesome and be music. Like Gilmore for me is God. Just be the music. But then again, it's good that there are people like him, like Roger Waters, who scream against all the bad stuff that's happening in the world. We also need a little bit of that. We don't want to be China. We don't want to be like, don't say anything, don't talk about anything. Let's don't offend anyone. I had enough of that. So the more the world is getting there to like, just don't say anything, don't offend anyone, don't talk about anything, don't ask questions, the more I feel like we need people like Roger Waters, even though it's easy to hate him because I'm not agreeing with everything he said. I don't agree with boycotting people. I don't. But, that's the kind of people I think we all should have a little bit more around us instead of all the nice people, who's so sweet of you, but they don't give a shit about what's happening. And they only care about how they look like, which is, I'm just going to say that it's just driving me crazy. Many people, we saw that with the COVID shit and all that, so care about how they look like on the outside. Like they're waiting for someone to do something for them. It's not going to happen. You have to take your life in your own hand and just say things as they are. No one cares about how you look like. It's what you do. It's your actions. It's how you act, So I'm kind of like, I'm not getting very impressed with people who are sweet to me, but then they like promote everything that is evil in the world, promote everything that is good in the world, and then I wouldn't care how you talk to me personally. You know what I mean? That's kind of like inspiration to me. So let's leave it there.
okay, yeah. Well, it's always a pleasure to speak with you. And
with you too, Andre. And again, thank you so much for
of course,
having me on.
And you're always welcome to come back. For those of you out there, pick up Cool People, Cool Puppets. The rest of you, if you want to get in touch, Nicarus is on every social media platform.
I'm here. Talk to me. Stay true. Stay smart. Stay smart and be yourself. Don't sell yourself to no one.
Well, on that note, have a good one. Take care.